I want you to meet Gus, and today I want to tell you the story about how he changed my game forever. But in order to do this story justice, we got to go back to the start of when me and Gus first met.
Go see.
Now trust me, this story is not one where I gush over my pets, but I do think that Gus is special. You know, he has one of those personalities that when he enters a room, everyone looks. And I think that's maybe why we got along so well, because it happens to me often as well. I think it's for slightly different reasons though. I think I really am just too loud for people. Anyway, Gus and I's story doesn't start off like most people's when they get their pets. I didn't find him at a shelter, and I didn't buy him from a store or a breeder. I actually met Gus when he was at the ripe old age of 11, I think, and he was my ex's dog. But very quickly, Gus became my dog too. He was an old dog, but he behaved like a puppy. He was 11 years old, but he still ran around, he still played with his toys, and he still used to get super excited when we'd tell him to go for walks.
How's it going?
I think where Gus and I really bonded is when we took a road trip up to the north of New Zealand. We spent every day waking up early, walking along the beach, and running around for a couple hours. I felt I kind of learned how to look after someone or a dog. That's really what that whole trip was about, was taking him to new places. That's not how the trip really started, but that's what it turned into, was us just taking this dog to all these new places. I could feel that Gus completely trusted me. I think this is something everyone can relate to, just that bond you feel with your pet. It's a really special thing, and it's not something that I've ever experienced before. Now one day, we took Gus into the vets for just a regular checkup. About a week later after that, the vets came back and said there was something strange with his blood. Now we didn't think anything of it, and they recommended that we did more tests. So of course we took him in and we got more tests done. They said there was about a 20% chance of something being wrong, but they said they wouldn't be able to know anything until the tests came back. Now we weren't worried at all, because by looking at Gus, he was the same dog he'd always been. He had heaps of energy, so we didn't think there was anything wrong with him. After doing the second round of tests, our worst fears happened. Gus had prostate cancer. Now this hit us like a ton of bricks. You really couldn't tell by looking at him, but he was sick. And the vets pretty much said that there were only two options. Now, they couldn't go and remove the cancer because that type of surgery doesn't exist for dogs. So we really only had the two options, which was we could do nothing and just let the cancer take its course, or we could spend about 10 grand and do a cycle of chemotherapy. Now, I don't know about you, but 10 grand is a lot of money to pay. And it's not something that I think a lot of people have just on hand. But Gus was a member of the family, so of course we went for that option. We decided to pay the 10 grand and give him a round of chemo. And there were no guarantees at any time that any of this would help, but of course we were gonna try at least, you know? I mean, we had to look after our boy. And so that's what we did. We started on the chemotherapy. Now, this involved a lot. Now, it was about an hour to and from the vets, and we had to do that every 2 weeks. We also had to give him a whole bunch of pills, and we also had to change his diet around and pretty much look after him 24/7. Make sure that he could go to the toilet when he wanted, and he wasn't left at home for too long. But that's just what we did. We went down that path, and once we had made the decision, there's no way we were going to turn back. So that's what we did. We just kind of sacrificed to make sure our boy was okay. And it seemed like it was working. Halfway through, we got a scan of the area that had the cancer, and it was looking good. It had shrunk, which was fantastic. We thought that we might actually beat this thing. Now this should be the point in the story where I say that everything got better and Gus managed to pull through like a miracle, and I'm going to show you Gus here with me right now. But 6 months later we had to make the call that no pet owner ever wants to make. So on April 20th, 2023, a year ago today, we took him to the beach one last time. We spent the day doing things that he loved to do, and then we took him to the vet. And I held Gus for the last time while he passed away. And it still affects me to this day. It's been a year, and I still miss him a lot. It's a hard story to tell, a very real thing, going through all that. It's not something I wish on anyone. Losing Gus was devastating, and I couldn't let his memory just fade away. I wanted that dog to stay by me forever. When all of this happened, I drew Gus as a character in my video game. I decided to put him right next to me so he can always be by my side, and we can go on new adventures in another universe. I think that would be a great way to honor his memory. Run as much as we want, just like we did when we were up north. I think the vets estimated that we got about 6 months more than we would have got if we hadn't done anything. And I'm okay with that. You know, we got to spend so much more time together. We got to make so many days special. We got to celebrate, I think, his 13th birthday together. Thank you for listening to my story. I know it's not the usual stuff that I usually post, but I thought it was an important one to share. And maybe someone out there can relate to what I've been saying. If you'd like to meet Gus, he's going to be in our video game that's releasing very soon. If you want to follow along with developments, you're more than welcome to, but no pressure. Anyway, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.